Peace and blessings, kings and queens. It's your boy Ayo, back with another video. And the topic of today's video is spiritually dead. Before I dive into this video, I want to first start off by giving all praises to the Most High God and asking that God guides my tongue and allows these words to fall upon the ears of those who were intended to hear them, and allows this video to come across the eyes of those who were intended to view this video. Yep. So without further ado, I want to dive right into this topic of being spiritually dead. You know, like if you've ever wondered, like, why, like when you pray, you feel like you can't hear from God, or you feel like your connection to God is not there, or you feel like your answers, your prayers go unanswered. You know, it could possibly be that, you know, that you've ignored your spirit and haven't nurtured your connection to God for so long that you become like spiritually dead, or like unable to hear God's voice when he speaks to you, or unable to feel that connection, you know, when God is trying to move in your life. You feel me? As a child, like, I feel like we were all innately born with that connection. You know what I'm saying? Like, children, you've always heard stories about children and babies being able to see more than what we're able to see. They're still freshly connected to the spiritual realm. They're still connected to God. They still maintain their innocence. But like throughout our lives, when we grow up, we start to endure programming that kind of separates us from God and from ourselves, really, because like to know yourself truly is to know God, you know what I'm saying? And to know God truly is to begin to understand and know yourself. But yeah, that programming over time like cuts that connection that we have with the Most High and like severs that connection. You know, if you're unsure of if you've ever heard God speak, or like if you're connected to God, you know, just think back as a child, you know, when we used to do things as children and we knew it was wrong, like within ourselves, we would get that like little feeling of apprehension, or you know, just that little tingling feeling within yourself that just says, oh, whoa, 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 I probably don't need to be doing this right here. That right there is your connection to the Most High God. That right there is how God speaks to me all the time. As a kid, when I used to hear that, like get that feeling or hear God's voice, I always paid attention to it, even though I didn't always listen. Like I never always followed it and you know, obeyed what it said, but I always knew and acknowledged that feeling and that voice when I heard it. You know what I'm saying? I think that me doing that and acknowledging God's voice and paying attention to that feeling whenever it came upon me, actually helped to strengthen my connection with God. I feel like a lot of times we ignore that voice and that feeling for so long that, you know, we just get numb to it. Like it grows silent. Like we overpower it with what we want to do. You know what I'm saying? So then that voice gets smaller and smaller and smaller. That feeling gets weaker and weaker and weaker until like we have no guilt or no shame in the wrong things that we do. We just feel it as being normal. You know, we've been programmed by society to operate and move in that way. For instance, like we watch all these like action movies with all this killing. We watch all these music videos with all these women dressing provocatively, or like men degrading women, or, you know, or women degrading men, like, or vice versa. You know, it goes both ways nowadays. And it's like, you know, we get bombarded with these things so much that it's almost in a sense programming our mind to be insensitive. Like, so we see people get killed on TV and we don't think nothing of it. We say, oh man, damn, that's messed up. But then like we right back to scrolling past whatever we just seen that was traumatic, and we right back to laughing, because it's like we laughing at the next thing, which is like a meme or something. Like we become so insensitive to like death, or like, you know, how to treat people with love. Like even love in itself is something that's like being taken out of our generation. Like we're being programmed not to have love for one another, or not to have feelings. You know, there's this message of being cold-hearted that's being pushed upon us, you know. And like one of the ways in which God speaks is like through our feelings, you know what I'm saying? Through intuition. whenever we was young and I was describing, like we would get that feeling of apprehension, like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do this. That's a feeling, and if that's the way God, like I know for a fact that's how God has spoken to me throughout my life. And if that's one of the ways in which God communicates is through our feelings, and society is pushing a message for us to be cold-hearted and to not have no feelings, you know what I'm saying? To not treat people with love, to be insensitive to violence and killing and a degrading of women and men and each other, then yeah, if through our feelings is how God's speaking, we're being numb and having our feelings cut off, then yeah, it's gonna be hard for us to hear from God. You know what I'm saying? All of this program is causing us to become spiritually dead. You know what I'm saying? That's the first death before the actual death of the flesh. You feel me? So it's like we walking through life, completely numb to ourselves, who we are, numb to our purpose. Like we're just operating as robots. Like we're being programmed how to think, how to feel, what to do, when to do it, uh, what to worry about, when to get happy. Like we have to focus on work Monday through Friday, only get happy on the weekends. Like to me, it just seems like we're being programmed to be robots or slaves. You know what I'm saying? And it's like to think that that is normal. I think that that's a sign of being spiritually dead because anybody who's connected to the Most High is who's truly connected to the Most High is is also in tune with themselves as well. And if you're in tune with yourself, then you have a mind and a heart to seek your purpose, to seek what you're passionate about, and just to seek why you were created into existence and like what is your purpose here on this earth. You know what I'm saying? I think that a sign of being spiritually dead is to move through life thinking that none of that is important. You know what I'm saying? Like what could be more important than to discover why you were created? You know what I'm saying? And who your creator is. Get to know him. You know what I'm saying? To be able to communicate with your creator. Things of that nature, a lot of us are being programmed to be spiritually dead. You know what I'm saying? If you look in society, like at all aspects of society, music, movies, like how I just stated before, even in our food, like we're eating genetically modified things, which is not natural. Another way that they disconnect us from ourselves and from God and cause us to become spiritually dead is to disconnect us from all things that are natural. For instance, like food I just mentioned. GMO foods is not natural food. So like if we're not eating natural things, you know what I'm saying, and we're eating artificial things, then if we are what we eat, then we're slowly becoming artificial, like robots. And of course, if we're artificial, we're not going to have a connection with something that's real, like God. Also, another way I see this in like the younger generation, the children, is like they're disconnecting us from nature and from one another. So like technology has gotten to a point where we're so advanced that like children these days, they rather spend their time on their tablets than to go outside. When I was young, to go outside was everything. To go outside kept us connected with nature. Nature, being outside, being under the rays of the sun, rolling around the grass, running, jumping, looking at insects, things like that connected us back to the source of the Most High God, because God, that's God's creation. But nowadays these kids are on their tablets, they're glued to a black screen or a black mirror, and they're totally disconnected from nature and one another because they're just so into this technology. I think that's the beginning phases of how they're trying to get our youth to be programmed to be disconnected from themselves and from the Most High God. Like, I don't have kids yet, but when I do have kids, I'm gonna encourage my children to play outside. Like I'm gonna make sure I nurture their interest in connecting with nature and just being outside, outdoors, and the things in nature, the thing that God created. You know what I'm saying? That's not artificial. Because for me, how, like, one of the ways in which I found God was through playing outside, like, was through, you know, being curious about things, like studying roly polies and catching lightning bugs in a jar, like that type of shit, like studying ant farms and how they build they ant, like they societies, like all that shit fascinated me, and like it led me to ask more questions, which all those questions led me to God. You feel me? um it's very important that like we begin to nurture our spirit and like, you know, establish that connection with the Most High, to prevent us from becoming spiritually dead, because in these times that I feel like it's becoming more and more dangerous, more and more dire, more and more uncertain of what the future may hold, I think that a true connection with the Most High is needed and warranted in this time, because through our connection with God is how God will speak to us and about how to maneuver through these times, so that we can uh, endure these times and on the other side be okay. You know what I'm saying? I think that there's a lot of misleading information. There's a lot of lack of, um, you know, just care for fellow men. You know, like our brothers and sisters. Like we just there's a lot of like selfish behavior going on, like every man for themselves type shit, or like just a total disregard for like life. You know what I'm saying? How we treat animals, like how we slaughter animals every day, like, you know what I'm saying? Or like how we just treat each other, how we treat ourselves, bro. Like it's gotten to the point where we don't know it, but we treat ourselves with disrespect. Like we don't really even value ourselves. And we put ourselves in a lot of situations that show us that we don't value ourselves. We choose partners based off a lack of value for ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Like we wouldn't ignore so many red flags if we didn't think that, if we really truly valued ourselves and knew our worth. You know what I'm saying? Things of that nature. Like we're disconnected from ourselves, from God, and we're becoming a spiritually dead society, man. The Most High and the Holy Spirit needs to dwell within us, man. It gives us discernment. It gives us knowledge and wisdom, and it gives us guidance as well, you know. And that guidance, that knowledge, that wisdom, that discernment is needed in these times, especially, you know. Yeah, like also there's purpose and passion that was put in us all. Like our individuality is a gift. Like society tries to like condition us and programming and thinking that we all need to be the same. Like this is one mold of human beings and this is the way. Like they do it through trends and shit like that too. Like they'll make something trendy and say, oh, well, this is what's cool. That's just another way of them programming our minds and controlling us on how we supposed to think. Like if they tell us that this is a trend and this is cool, and they get these celebrities to push it, you know what I'm saying, push the message, then we get what happens is that like we all see this trend and then we try to conform who we are to be that thing, you know. And a lot of times it results in a lot of us like looking the same, uh dressing the same, doing the same things, valuing the same things, behaving the same way. And you know, that's not normal, man. We all were created like differently. We're all unique. We're all individuals. We all have our own mind, our own feelings, our own heart, our own passions, our own purpose. But we'll sacrifice that. We'll sacrifice everything about who we are and everything that God gave us in order to be accepted. You know what I'm saying? But there's beauty in the differences. There's beauty in the uniqueness of us all. You know what I'm saying? And like me personally, I'm an artist, so like I wouldn't want to see the same picture every single time I go. Like if I went to an art gallery, I wouldn't want to see the same picture a million times. I want to see variety. So it's like I imagine God to be like the ultimate artist. You know what I'm saying? He God can't be anything but an artist. Like when I look at the sky, I see a moving motion, a moving painting every day. When I look at the stars, I see beauty. When I look at different landscapes around the world, I see nothing but art. You know what I'm saying? I see art within ourselves, especially women. Like the epitome of art is a woman. You know, how they move, how they speak, everything about a woman is beautiful. You know what I'm saying? Like an art piece, like a masterpiece. And it's just a shame that, you know, society has made us to believe that, you know, our individuality and our uniqueness is like something that we should be ashamed of. And we have to like throw that all away and conform to this one style. You know, and I think it's a shame because as an artist, like I appreciate differences. You know what I'm saying? Like there's beauty in that. Like the uniqueness of us being authentically ourselves is, you know what I'm saying? And that comes with knowing yourself and, you know, knowing yourself comes with having a connection to God. You know, knowing yourself comes with like being spiritually connected to yourself. But I feel like a lot of us have been programmed and for so long by society and trends and, you know, the stars that they get us, the stars that they get to program us and just these things, these material things outside of ourselves, we've been programmed and conditioned to just die spiritually to ourselves and, you know, lose that spiritual connection to who we are and who God is. And a lot of us are spiritually dead. And I think that that is the void or the feeling of unhappiness that a lot of us feel. Like that thing that's missing, you know, we're missing our spiritual connection, man. You know, like that's what it is. Like I went a long time, although I've always like been connected to God and in my spirit in some form. I went through a phase of life where uh, I wanted to conform to society and be accepted just like everyone else, man. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted to be accepted. And I think that at the end of the day, that's really all what it boils down to. We all just want to be loved and accepted. But I think that we're too afraid to be accepted as who we are. So we die to who we are in order to follow the mode of what society says we should be because we feel like that's the way to be accepted. But I actually think that, you know, that that's a trick that's being played on us. And I think that if we, you know, we just connected back with our spirit and wasn't afraid to be ourselves, and we'll realize that more people accept us as who we are than we think, you know. I think that when one person is able to do it, I think that you give hope and you give inspiration to other people to also be themselves as well, you know. You know, you can't. What's the point of being accepted by others if you don't even accept yourself? You feel me? Like I wouldn't like. What is it to gain the world but lose yourself in the process? You know what I'm saying? Like I wouldn't be happy if everyone adored me, but I hated myself. You know what I'm saying? So that's all, man. Just you know, tap in with yourself. You know, limit the distractions in the programming. You know, take measures and steps to really discover who you are. You know what I'm saying? Seek God because in the process of seeking God, you also find yourself. You know, either way it goes, like it's a two-way street. If you seek yourself, you'll find God. If you seek God, you'll find yourself. Either way you go, you can't go wrong. Um, yeah, man, connect back with your spirit, man. You know, this physical realm is just one. It's just half of the picture. You know, there's a whole nother picture that half of the picture that we're not seeing, and that's the unseen realm. That's the spiritual realm. You know, I've heard that everything happens in the spiritual realm first, and then it manifests into the physical. You know, we can't only cater to the physical things and, you know, just die spiritually, you know what I'm saying? Because we're not going to be whole and complete, and we're always going to feel like there's something missing. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, that's my video, you know, for today. I just had to get that out. You know, I feel like the past couple conversations I've been having with people, I really just been noticing how like a lot of us are, you know, spiritually dead and just not like in alignment with ourselves or with the Most High God, our Creator, and we're unable to hear from Him or we really don't truly have faith or believe in him because we've never really had that experience or that connection. So, you know, just in order to get it though, you have to put in the work. You have to truly seek God. You have to truly seek and want to understand yourself too as well. You know, a lot of us are some of us are content with not knowing who we are, or you know, just living for the world and you know, just being like a leaf being blown in the wind, like whatever the trends, whenever trends change, then that's who you become. Whoever you're around, and that's who you change up to be, like a chameleon. Some people are okay with that, but like that's a slippery slope. That's a dangerous path to be on because you may find yourself, you know, surrounded by the wrong influences, and that may lead to your destruction. But yeah, that's all for my video, man, about being spiritually dead. Connect with yourself, connect with the Most High, and connect with your spirit, man. It's very, very important. Um, if you guys have any thoughts, man, leave your thoughts or your comments in the comment section. Don't forget to share this video, subscribe to the channel, and like the video. I love you all. Hope y'all have a blessed and wonderful day. Ayo out.